this is the Honda Civic Type R. And to most people, this is just a souped up economy car. But for us in the US, this is the first Type R we've gotten. I've said it before and I'll say it again, we don't really do car reviews on this channel, but we're here in LA to film a time attack race, and we had the opportunity to get this car as a press car, so how could we not? Now, like any 25-year-old, I spent a lot of time on YouTube watching videos about this car to learn about all of its quirks and features. In order to consolidate all the videos that I've watched into one, this is my impression of the Honda Civic Type R. Now, I'll start with the most obvious drawback of this car. It's front-wheel drive. Now, it's no secret that I'm kind of a Subaru guy. I've owned about 5 of them, I think, and all of my Subarus have been all-wheel drive. And it's not because I need it for the snow or anything like that, it's just because all-wheel drive hooks. Now, the STIs let me down in a couple of ways. The engine is ancient, and they don't make the STI in a hatchback, but they do make a Civic Type R in a hatchback.
They also make the Volkswagen Golf R and Ford Focus RS in a hatchback. I'd consider these two cars the Type R's main competitors, and they're quite good ones. Both of these cars are all-wheel drive, while the Type R is only front-wheel drive.
So this Type R being front-wheel drive starts it out already a little bit behind than its competitors. Now, I'm sure a lot of you in the comments are going to tell me about how front-wheel drive could be just as good, but I think to most people, all-wheel drive is more preferable. So from what I can tell in watching some of these videos, the Type R is front-wheel drive out of heritage, not out of any kind of superior performance abilities. So, I mean, I'm all about heritage, but, I mean, come on.
I've also seen videos stating that it's front-wheel drive to keep the weight of the car down. And while it's the lightest car of the three, it still comes in at 3,100 pounds, which is light by today's standards, but nowhere near as light as you'd think a Honda Civic would be.
And the front-wheel drive isn't the only drawback of this car. I can't tell you how many videos I've watched about people roasting the styling of this car. Now sure, the 30 sidewall 20-inch wheels are a bit flashy, and the triple exit exhaust is a bit excessive, and the rear vents don't actually do anything. The interior looks like something I would have designed back in 2001.
The styling is probably the most controversial aspect of the new Type R. People understand that it's front-wheel drive because it's a Civic, but it's not very like Honda to try so hard to be flashy with their design.
But after having driven the Golf R and the Focus RS, I gotta say, this Type R is probably my favorite. The steering is so direct, and there's like no torque steer, which is really surprising considering how much power this front-wheel drive car is making. And the turn-in is great. Now, sure, I'm not on a track, and I can't really push the car to its full limits like I'd like to, and I'm sure I'd probably start to feel some understeer if I were doing that on a track. But for everything I'm doing around these canyon roads in LA, it's handling it great.
Thankfully, I was in LA to go to Super Lap Battle at Buttonwillow Raceway, where I met Dai Yoshihara, who was driving for the Spoon Sports team. He was primarily driving their FD2 Honda Civic Type R, but they also brought with them a new Type R. So I took a minute to ask him about his thoughts on the car.
So this new Type R, FK8, I actually driven as like a bone stock. It's really good. Like it's very easy to drive. Like everybody can jump in, and I'm sure everybody can do like a decent time. And today we did little modification, like the wheels and the tires and suspension a little bit lower. It's pretty much stock, but we can still go like 5 seconds faster. With that being said, the car has so much potential. Just tiny tweak changes quite a bit, and pretty excited about this car. And hopefully Spoon Sport will do something big to it, and we can compete here maybe next year or something. We'll see. I think, when you compare the new Type R to like other competitors, like a Ford Focus or like other front-wheel drive cars, it's got really good horsepower to start with, and also more than anything, it's just the super good handling. It's very easy to drive. Yeah, I think for the price and stuff, some people think it's too much because it's just a Civic, but I would say it's not just a Civic.
Dai ended up driving the 2017 Type R to a time of 158.3, a very respectable time for a nearly stock car there. comfortable yet sharp, quick but not overbearing. Without getting pedantic, it's hard to find things wrong about this car.
The handling is fantastic, the power is fantastic, but then again, so is it on the Golf R and the Focus RS. I mean, what a time to live in when we have so many of these amazing cars available to us.
300 horsepower is standard entry into performance cars now, and it's impossible to drive any of these cars at their limits on public roads.
But the performance of the car alone isn't what impresses me the most. It's the practicality. The rear hatch has enough space to hold all of my camera gear, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't jump back here to film some rollers at the race event. For me, this is what a car should be. I see too many people focus on track times and horsepower numbers. And while that's important, that's not what most people are actually going to use a car for. Most people are going to buy a car to drive around the street and then take to the track maybe once or twice. So for me, this is the kind of car that you want to buy.
Cars aren't all about their performance numbers. Sure, it's important, but there's much more to a car than that. And personally, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these hot hatches. And this Type R is pretty great.
I think 99% of the people are going to use their car on the street. So get something that has amenities. Shoot, I think the only car that could beat this would be like a 2017 Lancer Evolution. Huh.